make a quick video since I'm working on something that I've never made before, which is a long neck genie bottle. That is inspired by a bottle that I had that was my mom's bottle, and she had that I think since the 60s. And so I have this bottle. She gave it to me because when I was young, I used to love the show I Dream of Genie. And so I just loved that bottle. And I remember um, once she asked me if I wanted the bottle, and I said, sure. So I brought it all the way from Brazil, and I have it in my house. So I'll try to put a picture of the bottle for you guys to see under my posts. And I couldn't really do the neck of the bottle that tall as the one that I have, because it's glass. It's, I don't know if it is hand blown glass, but it's very pretty. Again, I will put the picture of the bottle for you guys to see. Um, so, anyways, I threw this just a little, looks like a little vase, but it's actually the top of the bottle. That's what's going to be. So because the bottle, I had to do it in 3 sections, and I'll show you here. I'm just trying to determine if this is thin or thick enough. Again, it's something that I've never done before. And I was trying to trim just slightly. I usually tap to see, to kind of figure out how thin or how thick it is. And I'm using just an old cup as like a chuck, as I didn't have something that would hold this shape. Um, so I'm just trying to trim just a little bit. And so I had to make this with a kind of like a slope coming up, thinner in here, because I'll show you how the bottle is. The neck of the bottle goes like that. So I had to follow that profile. And I didn't measure, but it looks about, it seems to be about right. And I'm gonna turn this the other way. It's a little bit wet, so let's see. So basically that's what it is, the top. And I'm just gonna trim a little bit more because I wanted to make like a real nice sphere. Let's see. It's funny with something like this that is very round. When you put that on a chuck, it seems like the slightest movement that you make, it throws this out of balance. So it took me a while with the bottle to make the neck, because it's a separate part, to make the neck so it wouldn't be like wobbly. So it's still a little bit wet, so I think I might just use my ribs. Tomorrow I have the live with Anna at 10. Every Saturday I do a tutorial, but tomorrow is going to be, I usually do it different techniques. Tomorrow is going to be throwing with porcelain. And I usually give a lot of tips for people who wants to try, excuse me, working with porcelain. I've been working with porcelain for, let's see, over 10 years now. I started just using stoneware, and then I wanted to try porcelain, and I fell in love with it, even though porcelain is very finicky. but I love the results so that you can't get um, with other stoneware bodies, like the translucency of porcelain. So that's what we're gonna be doing tomorrow. If you're interested in seeing, and I will talk about things to avoid some of the issues. This is the clay I'm using for this, just because I had a whole bag that I wanted to use it up. I don't do much with the red clay, but this is actually a very nice Con5 clay. Hi, Jordan. This is by the company Aardvark, and it's called Terra Red. It's a very smooth, no grog at all clay that is almost like porcelain, but red, I would say. Um, so I think, let me see. So this is the top. So we'll see now how it's going to look when I put it on the bottle. And I'll bring the bottle here. Again, this is just an improvised chuck that I made since I didn't have one. Um, and I'll explain how I made the bottle. It's right behind me here. So this is my bottle. It's not attached. Let's see here. Where is the hole for this? Trying to figure out where the hole is without tilting this thing. It's right here. Okay. So this thing, it was a pain to make, especially since it's not something that I usually make. Sometimes when you don't make something and you do something for the first time, it's even harder. If it is something that you're used to making, there's no problem. So I make a lot of mugs and I do a lot of bowls. They are open. Those are the two forms that I like to make, a lot of bowls and mugs. So those two. So this was new. And you can see, I don't know if you can tell how big it is, but I measure it's 13 inches to the top here. And then if you add, let's see if this is going to fit. Yeah. It looks kind of big, I think. Maybe I need to trim a little more, or I might throw another one. What do you guys think? A lot of antique vases are coated with porcelain. Yeah, the one I have, which I will put a picture, is glass, and I think it's a hand blown bottle. But it has this shape, and it has like a ball here as the topper. But I think I made the top a little too big. I might just throw another one. Anyways, it's a good practice though to make, I think just slightly smaller. What you guys think? I think it would look better. Anyways, what I did here, just through this bottom piece, and I marked it so I know where the joint's going to be, because I don't want to throw these out of balance too much. So let's see, come on, yeah. So you see how I made this bottle, I mean this part, just like a little, almost like a moon jar. Yeah, thank you. So the problem is I've thrown bottles before with a long neck, but I can never get it too tall as this one that I wanted. So that's why I made it in two parts. And then the problem is you to put your hand, I threw this like this. So I start wide, and that's not a problem. You put your hand in there, and then as you're throwing you know, this you have to be coloring. And then I even use the throwing stick to be able to throw this thinner. Otherwise, it would be too thick. And I was worried about the weight, you know, of this with this vase because it's pretty thin. I don't like to make things that are too heavy. So, anyways, that's how I made this, and it was a pain. As my mom would say, in Brazil we have a saying. I don't know how they say it here. That when you do something that is very challenging, you say you took a beating, or I don't know how you would say it here, but it was challenging to do that because it's something new for me. But that's how we say it in Brazil, or at least how that's how my mom used to always say. It took a beating doing something. That's how I felt, or going through the ringer. I guess is what you say. Um, do you put it in a kiln surface? Yeah. So for the kiln, I will put the bottle by itself. I don't have one of those, um, you know, the shelves. Can't remember now the name. There, mine is the regular shelves, the for the kiln. So my thinking is I would do the bottle, and then this the topper. I'm gonna make something to hold the piece from the bottom here. So it's gonna sit almost like a little cookie with a point in the middle that's gonna hold the top. But again, I'm gonna make another one. I think this one is too big. Um, so all I'm gonna do here is I was just trying to get some of this lip here from when I threw the piece. And I'm just going to use my scoring tool. And feel free to ask any questions. So those bottles that I was talking about that I have, they were popular in the 60s, I believe, either 50s or 60s. And I look it up, the one that I have, it's quite expensive now to buy one because it's a vintage Italian, I believe, is the bottle. It's made in Italy, but um, so the colors that were popular, mine was orange, like a real bright orange, and inside the glass is white, and outside is white. It's orange. And I remember that the two popular colors were orange and blue, almost like not quite a navy blue, like an electric blue, I guess. Those, I remember, those were the popular colors. And so I'm thinking now about making this one blue. I'm just wetting this part here a little bit. So yeah, I think I'm gonna make it blue. I have to find a real nice glaze that will be the blue that I have in mind. So I don't do too much of these things here that you throwing pieces into separate, you know, parts and putting them together. Although now that I've done this one, I'm thinking about making another one, like one of those really huge pieces that you put together. You do it in two parts. I think I'm gonna try that and challenge myself. Um, just because I have a problem throwing things that are really big. So it requires too much strength to to throw. I used to throw a 10-pound with no problem, but I don't like to anymore. Okay, so let's see here if I can put it where I had my mark. So I put a little mark, let's see, right there. I'm trying to match it. and give it a little twist. And I don't want to push it too much because I don't want this to start deforming. So let's see if this is wobbly or not. Yeah, it's still a little bit wobbly. Let's see. Oh, even though I marked where I marked with a line here, but the slightest movement is enough to throw these out of balance. Let's see. Oh, just trying to match up with the my line here. Still. Just ever so slightly wobbly. I think it's better if I look in the camera here to see when I turn. You see how it's still. Can porcelain and ceramic be mixed as a coating for vases? As long as the shrinkage rate is the same. So that's what I would look. Otherwise, you might start getting cracks on the surface. Typically, you want to match your coating with the same, like I guess you mean like a slip. Typically, you want to match. Although lately, I've been experimenting, like my last video I had, my last live, I was doing mono printing, which is you transfer slip. And for that slip, I found a recipe that has a wide range of, like even goes to a low fire all the way to cone 12. So I'm experimenting with that. I have a lot of pieces now in the kiln as we speak. And I'm hoping that that will work out. So that was a slip that I made. But typically, if you're using for slip trailing, you want to match with the same clay. But I have seen some people using porcelain. So I could put a porcelain coating here, but I would have to know if the shrinkage rate is the same as this clay. So, man, that is so hard to make this perfect straight. I know I struggled earlier just when I was trimming this piece here, just to make it so that it doesn't wobble anymore. So let me see. Uh, it's like ever so slightly off. And I thought I had it because I marked it. Even marking it, that didn't help. Oops. I wonder too if this thing is not. I put this is my trim that I use this thing to trim, and I wonder if I don't have it completely tight. because it could be that the bottom is not completely centered in here. Let's see. This is how I usually put it. I keep my finger close to the place, to the piece, and then I see if it is centered. That's how I usually do. And then I can make a little mark on the clay when it's not centered, and then I move it. So I want to make sure the bottom piece is completely centered, which it is. Now this piece here. Yeah, it's very so slightly. So I'm just gonna leave it like that and see if later on I can wet this piece here and try to put it back to center. But what I wanna do here is I wanna trim a little more right here, because what I wanna do is make a little curve to match this design right here. So that's all I'm gonna do in here to create just a little interest on this bottle. You see how you guys can see that it is a slightly wobbly right here? I think I can fix that just by wetting it and putting it back in place. Otherwise, I'll be here for a long time trying to just move it so slightly to make it um, stand up straight, this neck, this long neck on this bottle here. I like to use this tool here, is a clay shaper. A lot of times for something that I don't want to use a coil, like I could use a coil right here just to make sure this joint is really well attached, but because the two parts were still on the wet side, I think I'll be okay not using a coil for the joint right there. So I am just doing using this clay shaper, and you just push it where the two meet. So there is no more movement now. It's completely attached. Now, if this was something like a big vase or something that I could put my hands inside, or a throwing stick, I would try to put the throwing stick inside just to make sure that inside part is well attached, but here I can't because of the shape. So all I can do is hope that just by scoring and adding the slip would be good enough. And then I'm just gonna dry this thing very slowly. So you guys can see this design right here. It's just a little decorative something to the bottle. So. Okay. So that is my Genie bottle. Let's see what you guys are saying. Sorry about my dog here. the have some mail being delivered. Mom has some antique items that has a glossy coating that appears to have many hairline cracks, but it's not actually cracked. Um, yeah, I think so. One of the issues with porcelain, if it is a, do you know if it is a coating or if it is actually the piece is porcelain? But that's one of the issues that I'm going to talk about tomorrow is surface cracks. So there is something that shows up on porcelain called surface cracks that it's a very shallow little cracks everywhere that shows. And to me, that is a little defect, but it's not something that is going to make the piece not usable, not functional. So, or it could be also the glaze. Many glazes will craze on porcelain. That's like everybody that uses porcelain. It's a known problem with porcelain. Some people don't consider that as a problem. So what I don't even care anymore if it cracks because usually it does. Oh, hi Jane. uh, so so even if you put a glaze that doesn't craze right away on porcelain, chances are you will later. They call a delay crazing. Let me see if this is a porcelain piece. That's what I was using as a chuck. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me see here. It has crazing throughout in here. Um, so this is a problem with porcelain. This cup, when I did it, I don't know, maybe even a month after, nothing showed up, like no crazing at all. But the delayed crazing will show, it could be even be a year later, it will show up. So, like I said, that is a known issue with porcelain. And what I try to do is use a liner glaze that I know doesn't crack, doesn't craze with porcelain. Um, so you just know that by testing, or if you know the information from another person. But I tend to keep a lot of my pieces and use it on a day-to-day usage. So I know some glazes that have crazed on me over time and the ones that haven't. So I tend to reuse those uh, for, especially for porcelain. Um, One commercial glaze type that is really good for porcelain that maybe is because of the what they call it, the coefficient of expansion that might be pretty good fit for porcelain is one of the floating, they call floating, the Amaco floating glazes. I don't know if it is floating. No, that's spectrum. um, what do they call? Not floating, but anyways, the like the honey flux glazes. Sorry. So the flux glazes, for some reason, are pretty good on porcelain. So I tend to use those or one of the ones that I mix here from my studio that I know doesn't craze. But other than that, if you use any other type of glazes, especially the translucent glazes, most likely they will craze. And to me, that's okay because it's not like in inside the vessel. So, anyways, that's something we're gonna talk about tomorrow. I just wanted to come in here and show you guys what I've been up to with this bottle. It's something that I've never done before. And for you guys that came in later, I made a topper, but it's a little bit big. Let's see if you guys can see. It fits nicely in here, which is what I wanted. This shape right here, the curve, which matches the curve here. And that's exactly what I wanted. But I mean, look at the size. Uh, So I am going to make it a little smaller, and then I will probably show it tomorrow. So I'm going to make the topper today, and then I can show it to you guys tomorrow if you are here tomorrow with me. And I'll be giving you everything I know about porcelain. So, hi, Lisa. This is my Genie bottle. I dream of Genie bottle. So I'll show it to you guys tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to fix this and make it one that is smaller that will look much better. So this one is quite big. Thanks again, guys. And hopefully to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.